Hello once again, my name is Dr. Joel Rosen, board certified chiropractic physician, as well as a graduate of the American Functional Neurology Institute and Functional Medicine University. I wanted to welcome you back to my second video in my video series on your thyroid concerns. And I wanted you to, in the last video, I urged you to go back and download the questionnaire that I had filled out, that I had sent with you, because it's going to make this video series a lot more personal to you and a lot more realistic as to what's potentially causing your problems from a metabolic standpoint and a neurological standpoint. So if you haven't done so already, please go back and download that link. And then what I want you to do is I want you to print it out. And I want you to write down on the back of the paperwork, I want you to write down the word thyroid. So you're just basically going to write thyroid in the back, and I want you to put a big circle around it. And in that thyroid circle, I want you to write down all the unpleasant symptoms that you've been experiencing with your thyroid condition. So perhaps you're cold all the time, or perhaps you have hair loss, or perhaps you have no energy, or perhaps you have difficulty sleeping. Perhaps you're chronically in pain. So I want you to go back and print that out and write down all those symptoms, because I guarantee you one thing. Even though you have a thyroid condition, it's not the only thing that you have. You are suffering with what we call a web of physiologic dysfunction, which means there's more than one thing going on that's causing your thyroid problem. And if you remember earlier when I showed you the video, Synthroid will only affect, or thyroid medication will only affect the production of TSH, but potentially liver issues or peripheral tissue issues or even gut issues will cause a problem. So what you're going to do is, hopefully by now you've gone ahead and you've printed these out. And what we're going to talk about is the first questionnaire on this video today. The first questionnaire says Neurologic Assessment Form, and it has the name of my office on there, Boca Healthcare Center. And what I want you to do is I want you to count all the questions. And if you do, there's 42 of them. And I want you to circle yes or no's for you. If you have circled more than 5 yeses on this questionnaire, then that means you have a brain problem. And what I mean by that is potentially you're walking into a room and forgetting what you were doing. Potentially you don't know where you put your keys. Potentially you forgot where you parked. You have some dizziness or lightheaded. Whatever it may be for your particular concern, that you have a brain concern. And if you remember on my last video, we talked about where does the thyroid stimulating hormone get released from? It's from the brain, from the hypothalamus. The hypothalamus sends signals to the pituitary, and the pituitary sends signals to the thyroid. If your thyroid is optimally functioning and has no problems, and it's going to send its thyroid medication to the receptor sites in the brain, it's going to release neurotransmitters, those neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine, and the brain is going to be functioning optimally to help that loop continue. So what I want you to do is I want you to write out right on the top, and I want you to write out brain. Now, the brain needs 2 things to optimally function. It needs fuel and it needs activation. So fuel is in the form of oxygen and glucose. And activation is from every single cell in the body. Sorry for my messing, it's a little bit. Every single cell in the body. So if your brain is not getting the optimal amount of fuel and activation, then it's not potentially signaling for the thyroid to function optimally as well. So for the first video today, I wanted to talk to you about the fact that potentially we have a brain dysfunction or a lack of firing optimally because of lack of fuel and activation, and that's causing a problem with your thyroid. So I look forward to seeing you in our next video series, and we'll see you then. Thanks.